everyone, welcome back. We are going to be doing another art project today. I hope you're ready. It's a very easy one. And again, like most art, you can't really mess up. You gotta do what you want, make it how you want, be creative. It'll be super fun. We are going to be making different decorations for fall, or it could just be art that you hang up. I like to always hang them up and use them as decorations. So we are going to be making different shapes, so like leaf maybe, acorn, might do a pumpkin today. It's going to be super fun, and like I said, super easy. The hardest part is really going to be just drawing our shape, and that's not even that hard, and then kind of deciding how you're going to design it. So we are going to be doing something fun where we're going to be using strips of paper, and we're gonna almost make like a mosaic out of it. That's where we add different things together. It's, again, a very fun project. It's very easy. I always, whenever I do this project, I do get really excited, and then I forget how much fun it is, and then as I'm doing it, I want to do more because I come up with ideas while I'm making one of something else I want to make, because you can design it however you want. It's a really fun project, and you don't really need a whole lot. The cool thing about this one is a lot of this, like especially this one, these are all scrap paper that I had. So this is not even, I don't need brand new paper. These are just scraps I had that I cut and I put together to make my project. What you will need is, you're going to need a blank piece of paper. It doesn't have to be white. It can be any color you want. This is just a normal 8.5 by 11 sheet. This is actually cardstock, so it's that thicker paper. It's a little bit heavier. I like to use this for this project just because I'm going to be cutting and gluing stuff, and I like to hang them so it adds a little bit more strength. You can do it on normal paper. I've done it on normal paper. It works. It also depends on what kind of strips of paper you're using. If you're using cardstock paper, so like scrapbook paper, it's thicker, I highly suggest use a heavier paper. If you're not, if you're just using normal paper like construction paper, you can use a normal piece of paper. You could also make this bigger or smaller. It does not need to be this size. This is just the size I'm doing to show you guys. You could definitely do this, making it much smaller. You can make it bigger. It's totally up to you. So a sheet of paper, again, doesn't need to be white. We're gonna be covering it. It doesn't matter. You're going to want a pencil. You're also going to want scissors. We are going to be doing a lot of cutting, I will tell you that. The other thing you are going to need is a glue stick. I like a glue stick. You could use white glue. I personally always use a glue stick because I like that, one, it dries a little bit faster and it's not as messy. But I also like it that when I'm gluing stuff down, it's easier if I decide I want to move a piece of paper. It's easier for me to kind of pull it up and move it without ruining it. Usually if I use white glue, it's when I want it to be a little bit stronger. I really want something to stay. And once your white glue dries, it's very difficult to get things off. You can do it, but it's not simple. So I prefer white glue or glue stick. It doesn't have to be this kind, it can be any kind. Again, I like glue stick, totally up to you. The last thing you are going to need are strips of paper. So all I did was I got a stack of construction paper, just normal construction paper. I think I got it from Target on sale one day. And I just got one of each color. I didn't put black in. I didn't want black. I actually was really sad because cutting it, I realized I didn't have brown in this pack, which seems a little bit crazy, but that's okay. I'll work with what I got. It's fine. I cut the stack of construction paper, and I actually cut them into 1-inch strips. You can do it thicker. You can do it skinnier. 1-inch strips is just easy for me. I have a paper cutter, so it's just easy to slide it down and do 1-inch strips. So they're all this size. I usually end up kind of trimming them sometimes if I want smaller pieces. You also, though, again, this project's great because if you have a lot of scrap paper, which I usually do, right now I don't, I usually have lots of different paper scraps left over from different projects I'm doing, or if I made something, and I try to keep the scraps to reuse because I figure it's important that to not be wasteful. And most of the time I can reuse my stuff that I'm doing. So I do try to keep scraps of paper. And this is one of those projects that's great for scraps of paper because I am just going to cut them and use them. So you can see on this one, when I did it, a lot of these are actually they're cardstock or that thick paper. Like this one is a scrapbook piece of paper. Some of these are too, they're solid, they don't have designs. But you can use this using lots of scrapbook paper, any kind, a mixture. So this is a mixture of scrapbook paper and construction paper. Again, this one too, different scrapbook papers. It's great because you can use up all those scraps. Are you ready to begin your project? You are going to need, our first part that you will need is a plain piece of paper. It actually really doesn't matter what color you're doing because you're going to be covering it. I like to actually do this on cardstock or tag paper, something that's a little bit heavier than normal paper, just because I find it to be a little bit easier. If you only have normal paper, that's fine too. Use what you got. I have done this many different shapes and many different ways. You can kind of make whatever shape you want. You can just do a fun shape. I like to do them more fall shapes, something for fall so we can decorate with for fall. So I've done pumpkins, I've done acorns, the leaves, all of it. I'm going to do an acorn shape. So I'm going to show you how we're going to draw our acorn. I want it to be pretty big, okay? Because it is going to be a decoration. You want it big. It's much easier to cut out if it's larger. So it doesn't matter, guess what side you're on, doesn't matter. Cool thing about this project is if you mess up on one side, you don't want to erase it, flip it over and do the other side. Really cool. I'm going to do my paper up and down so it's tall and skinny. This is because I'm doing the acorn shape. If I was doing a different shape, I might switch how I do it. Are you ready to see our acorn? And I'll show you how to draw a few of the other shapes as well. You can do any of them. So our acorns, in case you're wondering, an acorn has a few different parts. It usually has our little bottom part that's like a little cup almost, and then it has a little hat part, and on the little hat is like a bump. That's usually where it connects to the tree. I'm gonna actually draw my hat part. So it's almost like an oval. I'm going to take, I'm gonna go about here on my paper. And here's the fun thing about this too. So I like projects like this because I can do it however I want. It doesn't matter because we're not going to see this. So usually when I'm doing ovals or circles, something I do is I kind of start out with my oval or my circle and I keep going until I find the one that I like. So just keep going around until you make it the shape you want. So I kind of have an oval in there that I like. It's pretty big. My hand, it's about as wide as my hand. So now I'm going to do my little hat part, my little top part. It always reminds me of a beret type of hat. And we're just going to do, are you ready? An upside down U, an N, half a circle, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't even need to be centered, doesn't need to be perfect. It's fine. Our very last part that we're going to do is we're going to draw the bottom part of our acorn, the actual like nut part of the acorn. So I want my hat, this part, to still overhang. So I'm going to I'm going to do like 3 finger spaces from the edge. I'm going to draw a line. 3 finger spaces from the edge, draw a line. This is where I want my acorn to be. So all I'm going to do is, knowing this is where I want it to start, where I want it to end, I want it to go mostly to the bottom of my page. I am going to, you ready? Make a giant U shape. Did I get a little bit off? Sure did. That's okay though. So I have this U. You could either leave it like this, or if you've ever looked closely at an acorn, you will actually notice that they do kind of go in just a little bit at the end. And they're kind of pointy. Not super pointy, but like they have like a little bit of a point. I think there's a purpose for that, but I don't. I'm actually not really sure what the purpose is. So I did make mine a little pointy, just because that's what they look like. Again, See all these lines I have because I was making it how I wanted it? Guess what? It's fine. I even can now like kind of look and be like, I want this to go down a little bit like this. So once I have this shape I really like, what I'm gonna do is actually just go over it a little bit darker in these areas that I overlapped, because I'm gonna be cutting it later. That's my acorn shape. Very, very, very simple. I know right now it kind of looks crazy. It's fine. Another shape that you might want to do is, I should do it this way, a pumpkin. Pumpkins are super easy. Are you ready? All right. I'm going to show you an easy way because, again, we're going to be doing, this is like the outline of it, so it doesn't have to have all the perfect details. So I'm going to show you a way to make it kind of really look like a pumpkin, because pumpkins are very bumpy. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually draw, again, I'm going short and fat because a lot of pumpkins are short and fat. You could do a tall and skinny pumpkin, that's fine. But I'm going to want to take up most of my page. So a lot of people like to draw pumpkins as like ovals or rounds. So again, you could do that. Like giant circle. Again, guess what? We're not going to really see this, so it's fine if it doesn't look great. Another way to do a pumpkin, I'm going to kind of use this as my guide, is pumpkins, like I said, are bumpy. So I'm going to make a tall, skinny oval here, okay? Here's my tall, skinny oval. Again, I like to go over it a lot just because then I can kind of make my shape I want. So here's one part of it. Now I'm going to kind of do another one, and I'm going to have them overlap a little bit, okay? I'm going to do one over here. Same thing. Overlap. This one I want to go down a little bit. And I'm going to do my stem. Should have left more room for that. It's fine. That's what it is, guys. Whatever. So this one's not as big if I do this one, but I like that it is a little bit more pumpkin shaped. So one thing I'm going to do though is when I cut it out, I'm going to actually, the top I'm going to have the bumps. You can actually make it lighter over here. And then my bottom, I'm going to make this one all connected so it's not. Okay. So I have a pumpkin. My last one that I'm going to do. And again, you could do totally different shapes too than these. I'm going to do a leaf. So I'm going to do tall and skinny again, right? Tall and skinny. And I'm going to actually do it diagonal. So I'm going to draw from this corner to this one, I'm going to actually just draw a line, okay? And now I'm going to, you can do all different shaped leaves. So if you want to make it a pointy leaf, you want to make it however you want. This one almost looks like a Christmas tree. Leaves are really neat because they're all kind of different. So I'm going to do like this. Again, I don't need to worry about it being perfect. And then at the bottom, I'm going to draw my stem, okay? I'm going to cut these out next, so we can do our second part of this easier. Again, you may have one. I have three. You don't need to do all three. You can choose which one you want. Up to you. I'm going to do all three so you can see what it will look like. Here are my shapes. We have our leaf, we have pumpkin, and we have an acorn. Again, do they look perfect? No. You can even, like this one, I want to actually go a little bit deeper on this. They don't need to be perfect. That's okay. Your next step that you are going to need is a glue stick or glue and some strips of paper. I have just construction paper. These are 9 by 1 inch. They could be different sizes. They don't even have to be construction paper. I've done it with scrapbook paper, so you can have designs. It is totally up to you and how you want to do it. I usually try to stick to more fall colors. I actually didn't have any brown construction paper, which I'm kind of sad about. That's okay though. I am going to use, I don't think I'm going to be using the blue. We'll see. And I might use the white. I'm not sure. We're going to kind of see. I don't know if I'm going to use green. We'll see as we go. So you are going to be gluing down and covering your whole shape. You could do it in a pattern if you want. So maybe you want to make it like a pattern. You can do it going up and down. You can do it going across. Just make sure they reach across. They think mine will. You could do diagonal. You can do a mixture. It's up to you. It's to just make a fun little design. I've done it all different ways. And the fun thing is that what you're going to do is basically cover this whole side. Okay. Then when you're done, you'll flip it over and I'll show you that spot and we're going to cut it out. I actually think I'm going to use my pencil side as my side to cover. So that side is blank on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. This is the fun part about this project is you really can't mess it up, guys. Just have fun. So I am going to put my glue. I like to just do a little bit at a time. It's better if you do it on a surface that's not cloth, so maybe not the tablecloth like I'm doing. It'll probably work a little bit better, but you know, it's fine. We'll wash it. So press it down, make sure that's sticking down. They can also overlap, so it does not have to go right next to each other. So like I put that one over it a little bit. You can also do like one side at a time. I've had it sometimes so you don't do it to that type of surface because it sticks. I've had sometimes kids do it both ways. You can change your direction. It's really up to you guys. So I actually think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do red, orange, and whites for this. Maybe I'll do yellow. I'm going to do yellows too. I'm actually going to try changing directions a little bit on this. So I'm going to put a yellow strip here, and it's going to cover the beginnings of my diagonal ones like this. So I'm going to do that last. I'm going to do this. So right now, I just look like I have a bunch of strips of paper and a pattern. It looks like nothing. Don't worry, we're gonna fix that. I'm gonna flip this over. So as I said, this is where you can make sure it really sticks. So flip it over with flat hands. Press down as hard as you can. Press, press, press. Flatten that out, rub it. Make sure they're really sticking. Okay. They should be super flat. Here comes the fun part. With my scissors, I'm now going to give this paper a haircut. I'm going to follow my shape. And just trim off all these papers, okay? Another way to do this is if you don't want to This one, sorry, this little area is kind of hard to get into with how I did the strips. If you don't want to cut out the shape first, you don't have to. I've done it that way plenty of times. What you do instead is you glue all the strips on inside of the on the sheet of paper. You actually do it where your drawing would be on the back side and you're going to glue on the other side of the paper. And then when you're done, you flip it over and this shape would be here. And you would just cut it all out at one time. I like it this way just because I think it's fun to do this part. I enjoy this part. And giving it a little haircut and watching all the little pieces fall off, I think it's kind of fun. And to kind of see how when I started it, it looked just like the strips, and now when I'm done and I flip it over, it's gonna look like my pumpkin with a cool design. Almost done. And again, you guys will see I'm turning my pumpkin and my paper, not making my hand go into crazy ways when I cut. Are we ready? So here's all my scraps. You ready to see what it looks like? There we go. So here is my pumpkin, as you can see. Really cool design. Super easy. Again, you could do them all going straight. You could do it all different directions everywhere. You can do a pattern. You can do whatever you like. But when you're done, you have a really cool pumpkin and put your name on the back. And these are awesome to hang up, to decorate, to even, like I said before in one of my other videos, I like to always mount different things, and that means putting on another piece of paper. These are cool if you actually mount it onto a black piece of paper. So like this is mounting. So I'm just going to use this. You can also put them onto a black piece of paper, and look how cool that looks. You can hang that up. So you can go ahead. I'm going to do my other ones. I will show you what they look like when they're done. And I can't wait to see what you guys come up with what you create and the awesome designs you make. Here are the final three. I did them all a little bit different. Acorn, did different colors on each side, even made a stripe down the middle, did a lot of different patterns. And we saw our pumpkin. And once again, you can always mount these to make them a little bit more interesting. There's also my leaf. So my leaf, I decided to be just a little crazy, kind of just go all different directions, different ways. You can see it still turns out pretty cool. This one would be really neat mounted onto another piece of paper. It would even overhang, which makes it kind of cool to do. So it doesn't really matter what way you do it. It all turned out neat, all special. Again, you can do it with scrap paper. I actually, on a lot of these little areas, I did use scrap paper that I had, pieces I'd already cut off. You can use construction paper, you can use printer paper, you can use scrapbook paper, you can draw your own designs and then cut them out and do this. It is up to you. You can even do different shapes. It is a really fun and easy project. and a quick way to add some decorations for different holidays, because again, you don't have to do it just for fall. This was just a fun one, but you can do it for all the different holidays, all the different months. Just a fun way to kind of make something creative quickly, and an easy way to make something creative. Again, if you want to mount them, like I said, I always like mounting things just to make them look a little bit more special. Don't forget to put your names on the back of these. I can't wait to see what designs you guys come up with, and I'm sure they're all going to be amazing. Don't forget to follow along for other fun activities that we do. Some are art, some are science, sometimes reading, all fun different things that you can follow along, do at home, do at school. Can't wait for you to join us to see what is next.